Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining the session today. So we conducted a similar session that was almost a week back. We had almost 50, 70 students joining that one, understanding how to go about CFE, what would be the challenges that you will be facing in the next 6 to 8 months, how you can tackle that, and when you should actually start. So we may also have some students for September attempt in this session. We will actually discuss what our audience is today and who opted for it. Like many students, have a preference to just watch it offline once the session is done. But for all of us who are here today, let's be interactive, engaged, and get the most out of the session. Ask as many questions as you can. And perhaps how we will go about is just start with the session, go into the session bits by bits, and then give you opportunity in between to tackle your questions as well. So we'll give you ample opportunity to tackle those questions.
But all of those who are here today, thank you so much for taking out the time. We know that it's a weekday and then the attempt is still far away. So we know that and we understand that most of the people have decided that they want to write either May or September in 2026. But it takes courage and it takes some sort of resolution in your mind to be able to kind of attend sessions like these this early on.
Right.
Because not everybody is able to do that. People are mostly relaxed and chilling, like, it's so far away, we'll maybe see something later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, kudos to all of you guys because you've already taken the first step to it. All right. So,
Okay. All right. So
yeah.
we'll start off. So we'll start off with a bit about, just give us a second. Okay. So yeah, we'll start a bit about our background. So I have been into international and corporate tax throughout my career, so which has spanned across 8 years, and I have worked in the big fours in the industry. Also went into my own practice for a bit, and currently I'm working as a tax manager for a cybersecurity company.
Similar background from my end as well. We're both CS from India. We immigrated to Canada a couple of years back. That is when we did our CPA Canada, and we both like wrote it together, and we were able to clear it in the first attempt itself. And most of my experience back in India and even here in Toronto has been majorly in the assurance sector. Like I worked a major part of my post-career experience with Deloitte. And after completing my CPA, I shifted and moved to the industry. So currently I work as a manager in a financial reporting role. But right after we cleared our CPAs, we realized that when we were doing CPAs, there was so much gap between how we, like the education system back in our countries and the education system here, because there in our countries, we're used to like a different type of exams and, different type of preparation schedules per se. But then here, when we were preparing ourselves, we had a lot of issues. We faced so many problems,
Yeah.
and we used to look up to somebody who could just hold our hand there, provide us some sort of guidance as to what we were doing wrong, what we could have done better. But then we didn't find enough resources.
So the resources, like the resources that are generally available on YouTube or otherwise, were not available at all during our time. So that was our first step. We started off with creating some webinars for students so that they can just access, take tips and tricks from us, from our experiences. That is how we started. But like since those years, we have expanded towards building a CPA community of our own, where we guide and mentor students, also teach you technical material, mark cases for you. And since then, it's been almost 500 students that we have mentored since those years. Okay. So we will, let you know about the audience today and those who opted for, filling out that form. So 60% of
But
you.
these statistics depend on all the people who filled the form. Obviously, we can see that not all of them have joined the meeting, but yeah, we'll still go over the statistics here.
Yeah. So 60% of the students are registered with CPA Canada, and 30% are in the process of registering. So like 90% of you are almost a student with CPA Canada. So we will still walk you through a bit about the registration, but most of you, because you are already a student, so we can, sort of, just bypass that. And what is your target CFE attempt? Like most of you here on the call and you filled out the form, like 80% of you are targeting for May attempt. So, we have accordingly focused the material of this presentation today towards May 26th, but even for September 26th, we will address how you can, go about your preparation.
All right, so the first question that comes in, and this would be something which would especially be there for students who have not started on this path yet, is why do they need a CPA qualification in Canada? For both Ravneet and I'm very sure that this is the case with so many other people here on this call as well,
Yeah.
that, like the global accountancy degrees that we hold from our home countries are strong enough to land us a job here in Canada. But then, like when you're seeking to climb the corporate ladder, we felt the need. We felt that, like when we were looking for higher promotion options, there was like they always required the local CPA designation.
Yeah.
So we realized this early on that if we wanted to kind of see ourselves excel that and reach high on that ladder, this is something that we will have to do sooner or later.
Right.
So that is when we decided that, if this is such a given that we will have to do this degree someday or the other, you'd rather do it early on when you have the time, when you have
Right.
the energy, when it's still in the market and
Yeah.
things like that. So that was one of the things that, like pushed us a lot to
Yeah.
kind of get on for this qualification.
And generally speaking, like any manager plus position which is available in the market right now, like in finance, account, tax field, they generally do ask for a CPA at least. They have some additional requirements sometimes, but like CPA is the bare minimum that you should be getting if you need to, as Guneet mentioned, need to go up the corporate ladder. Plus, many of our students who are already enrolled with us, right? So we always ask the students, what is your objective of, becoming a CPA? So many students are into their own tax and accounting, like bookkeeping practice already, right? So even after running good practices, they are still wanting to have that CPA designation, and there is a reason to it, right? Because the clients trust, like have that trust in you when you have that CPA Canada degree, because that is the local degree they know, right? So they do not know your global accountancy degree as like they won't put as much faith as they would in a CPA who has local knowledge. And when we talk about knowledge, like you would, in the process of becoming a CPA, giving that CFE exam, you will get a lot of technical knowledge around Canadian taxation systems, obviously IFRS, which is globally recognized, and then the local accounting standards as P.
Especially the tax, because tax is completely
Yeah.
different from the countries that we come in. So we realized, like, along the way that this degree in itself, like when we were preparing for CFE,
Yeah.
it was actually preparing us to go out in the world and giving us so much confidence to be able to, talk with people the way we used to when we were, back in our home countries with those designations.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So going ahead, we'll talk briefly about registration. As we mentioned, like most of you are in the process of registering, we'll still, briefly discuss. And if any of you have any specific questions about registration, you can also reach out to us afterwards with your specific queries. No worries there. So in terms of registration, the basic documents which are required are a good standing certificate from your, global accounting body, could be Nigerian accounting, could be India, like ICAI, Indian body. And then the second thing that you require from, apart from the good standing certificate from your global accounting body is your resume. And third thing is in terms of education, to prove your education here when you are registering as a student, you need to give the WES ICAP report, which is basically a course by course evaluation of whatever education you have been through, graduation, post graduation. But that is not required if you have more than 5 years of post qualification experience. And
Yeah, and similarly, the last item here is a practical experience form. So this form also, if you have more than 2 years of post-qualification experience, then you don't need to submit. So all in all, if you're somebody who has more than 5 years of post-qualification experience and wanting to write CFE, the only thing that you need is a good standing certificate,
right,
which should be sent directly by your global CA body, accounting body, to the ICI chapter which you are registering with, could be Toronto, Ontario, or WSP, and your resume. These are the two things that you should majorly be focusing on.
Yeah.
In the third thing, WES, like most of us here are immigrants, and we've already been through the like the express entry or PR processes to
Right.
be here in Canada, and most of us did get our VES reports done at that time. So if you are somebody who already has a VES report,
Yeah.
one thing, that VES report exactly would not work for this application, because this is an ICAP report, course by course evaluation.
Right.
So all you need to do to get an ICAP report, if you had an existing VES report, is that if you log into your VES account, there would be an option to upgrade report. You just simply click on the upgrade report option, and it takes you to the documents page. You don't have to upload any documents because all your documents are already there. So you simply go, like, do next and go and pay the fee. I think it's around $100 or $120. But you do that, and within 10 days, VES sends your ICAP report directly to your
CPA body.
CPA body. So that's
Right.
about it. Even the VES process wouldn't take a lot of time if you don't have like 5 years of post-qualification experience yet.
And once you are ready with these documents, the minimum timeline with CPA Ontario or WSB, which is the Western body, they mention as minimum 12 weeks. So once you have all these documents ready, after that, they will take, around 12 weeks, which is like roughly 3 months.
So that is why we say that for all of you guys who are aiming for May attempt,
Right.
September is the month that you have to start working on your registration documents and basically apply your student or start with your student registration process with
Right.
them. And why we say that is because there's two things. One is a student registration, but the second thing is the exam registration. Now, both of them are separate things. If you have already registered as a student, that does not mean that you can write CFE. You will have
Yeah.
to separately register for the exam as well, what exam you want to give, right?
Yeah.
So if you start by September or by the end of September, your student registration, that means October, November, December, these 3 months the institute is going to take to process you and register you as a student.
Right.
And if you can see here on the chart, we've mentioned the May 2026 exam enrollment dates actually open in December, but are only open up until Feb 16.
Right.
So you only have until Feb 16 to do your registration. If you don't do it by this time, then unfortunately you'll have to write or wait for the next attempt.
Yeah, and that will be like September. And like similarly for September students, you need to start your registration at least by Jan. Again, like similar timelines. So that would be like Feb, March, and April for you to get registered as a CPA student. And after that, you register for your exam. The estimated cost, for getting that degree of for CPA Canada is like roughly $2,600. How it is broken is the first part is the registration cost, which is around 800, and then is the CFE exam cost, which is $1,800. So that's the cost that you will be giving to the CPA body. Okay. Okay. So maybe now we can go into the CFE structure. What is CFE exactly? Maybe helping you highlight what are the objectives of different days, how many days are there, how are they evaluated, just for you to know even before you dwell into how you should start preparing, because there is a very saying that we always guide to the students that like CFE is more about strategy, right? It is less about technicals and more about strategy, how you frame your mind, how you understand the different days, right? Like it is not just about technicals that you do the technicals and you would be through. You will do the technicals, but then you need to follow a very specific strategy for you to become, a CPA Canada.
So most of you would already know this, but CFE is a 3-day exam, and 3-day means 3 consecutive days of exam. So it's day 1, day 2, and day 3,
Yeah.
right? And the basic difference here is that day 1 is an exam which which is tested on its own. Now, day 1 is a strategic exam, right? In there, not many technicals are tested. The only technicals that are tested on day 1 are are finance and management accounting. These are the two technicals that you will use when you're doing
Right.
quantitative analysis. But day 1 is basically an exam wherein they want you to think as a CPA of a business, basically a business, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to take, they will give you like 4 projects in general. There's 4 projects or 4 questions in the exam.
Yeah.
So they will give you 4 projects, and you have to do a detailed qualitative and quantitative analysis on each of the project, right?
Yeah.
So that you can basically recommend them as a CPA if they should go for that project or if they should not go for that project.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a strategic exam where you're analyzing strengths, weaknesses, what is the economic situations, or what is the company looking like, right?
Yeah.
So like it's very logical, but you need to know what you're actually like walking into before you go for this exam, because it may sound like it's easy, but again, it's not a piece of cake. It's very difficult. It has its own strategies and challenges. We have students who were able to clear day 2 and day 3 in their first attempt, but
Yeah.
we do have like a couple of students in September attempt
Yeah.
who are writing day 1
Just day
for
one.
the third time,
Yeah.
right? And so that's day 1 for you.
Yeah. And like many people do, underweigh the day one because it is not technical, as Guneet mentioned. So that is not technical, which, turns us to day two and day three. So day two and day three are both technically oriented subjects. So when we talk about day two and day three, so both of them are evaluated together and day one is evaluated separately. So what do we mean by that is, so if you attempt day one, you clear day one, you never have to give day one again. But in the case of day two and day three, if you flunk by any chance any of the days, you will have to give both of them the next
Together.
time, right?
Yes.
So that is why that is what we mean that they are evaluated together. So when we talk about day two, so day two is a 5-hour exam. There is just one case which is given to you. So, just one company that you are focusing on, and you have 5 hours to that. You generally have around 13 AOs, which is 13 assessment opportunities, or in very lame language is like 13 questions which are given to you. Generally, the breakup is like 7 questions for your elective. So elective is a subject that you choose, you get to choose, uh, a- that you get to choose, and basically that tests you on your specialization. So if you see below that the electives that you get an option to select from is assurance, tax, performance management, and finance. So these four, out of these four, you choose one as an elective, and you generally get 7 questions or 7 assessment opportunities for your elective on a day two, and the balance 6 is FA and MA, which is financial accounting and management accounting.
But one thing to note here is that day 2 is the only day that you get tested on your elective, right? And one important thing here is that if you don't attain depth on your elective, you don't pass the exam. And that means that you don't pass day 2, but then you also don't pass day 3 because they're both evaluated together, right? So that is why elective role plays a very important role,
Right.
on a day 2 exam and in overall exam.
And what we mean by depth is basically how well you know the technical integration. So not only just knowing the technicals, but if you know the technicals and you are given facts of the case, how well are you integrating them? It effectively means, in real life that you are considered to be a CPA and you know the technicals. And if there is a client in front of you, how well are you advising him, right? And that is subjective based on person to person, obviously, but how well you are integrating is that is depth for you. And when we go to day three, so day three is more of a breadth exam, which basically, the objective here is to check you or verify your knowledge in different aspects. So
all the 6 competencies. So generally, you will hear people say that there are 6 competencies. Competencies means subjects. So there's 6 subjects in CFE in total.
right.
If you look at the asterisk at the bottom of the table, you will see that we've mentioned the 6 competencies:
Yeah.
financial accounting, management accounting, audit and assurance, tax, strategy governance, and finance. So
Right.
these are the 6 subjects that are tested on day 3. Right now, day 3 is the only day where all the 6 competencies are tested together.
Yeah.
You would see that it is a 4-hour case, but a day 3 case is generally like the day 3 exam is generally divided into 3 cases.
Right.
So there will be like one 70-minute case, one 60-minute case, or one 80-minute case.
Yeah.
A combination like that. Total would be 4 hours, but divided into 3 cases.
So those are like 3 different companies
Yeah.
that you are working on compared to day one and day two, where you just have one company or one full case. And the number of hours you will see that feel a lot, 4 hours, 5 hours, and 4 hours. But with time you will understand that it is not at all. Time management is in fact one of the biggest issues in in any of the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
And which is why, the tips and tricks that we give you, in fact, during the entire CFE journey are like very useful and valuable, because if you are able to manage time, you are able to strategize your responses in such a manner that you are writing the right responses in the right structure, but also saving time, that is what is required.
But the major focus on day 3 is actually breadth. So, like Ravneet said, we'll give you an example. What most people or what some people generally tend to do is, for example, taxation. Now, like I mentioned, that taxation is something that most of the people do not understand because it is
Right.
very different, and it also depends on what resources you are reading. Because, like the institute, the books that institute provides, they are so voluminous, and if you start doing tax from there,
Yeah.
like even from some tutors, like we did it in our time, and it's so hard to understand tax.
Yeah.
Most of the people end up thinking that maybe we leave a couple of questions that come
Yeah.
from tax, and I'll still clear CFE because I'll
Yeah.
attempt the rest of the exam well. But one thing that they forget is that you are tested on breadth on day 3. Now, breadth means how well you are able to cover all the subjects that like
CFE has to.
they basically want to test that if this person has enough knowledge about everything on the exam or every subject on the exam that is being tested.
Right.
That is why these are the competencies that they want you to assess on. So you definitely
Yeah.
cannot skip any one subject and think that maybe there will be only 3-4 questions from tax, so I'll just skip those 4 questions, but I'll give my 100% on the other questions. So that is an approach that will not work in CFE.
Like imagine we have students coming to us afterwards, doing everything well on day 1, day 2, and even on day 3, but just missing out on a couple of questions of taxation, and they are done, right? So they flunk on day 3, they flunk on day 2 and day 3, and then they need to reappear in the next sitting. Everyone is managing time, families, their personal priorities. So just these small things, if you ignore, you're just lingering on your attempt.
Moving on, we wanted to put some light on what elective you should choose for your CFE attempt for day 2 specifically.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned in the previous slide, there is 4 options that you can choose an elective from.
Right.
First is assurance, second is finance, third is performance management, fourth is taxation.
Yeah.
So, out of these 4 electives, when you are registering for your CFE exam, that is when you have to choose what elective you want to select and write day 2 in. Right. So,
So, there have been so many questions that we are asked from the students. And in fact, especially sometimes from tax and non-assurance background people, specifically, say, consider a question from someone in tax. Like they ask us all the time that I have always been into tax, 6, 7, 8 years I've spent into tax, and now I am into Canada, and it's been 2, 3 years, and I have again been into tax. So why should I choose elective other than tax? And they are like, no, I want to choose tax as an elective. So the thing here is, right, that elective or your option to choose an elective here should not be based on your personal knowledge of the subject. It should be based on how well the resources are available in the market, how well you can get the mentorship, like the right mentorship from any tutor in the market, or even on your own. Like consider there are obviously 2 options. One is going on your own, and second is going with a tutor. So in any of the scenarios, consider what sort of resources are available there in the market, and for that, and in fact, as a matter of fact, 80% of the students who go for CFE choose assurance as an elective, and there is a reason to it, because this has been a pattern since many years. Obviously there are more cases around it, and you have more resources to go around from. So how you get the depth or the specialization in that elective, you just have more resources.
So, like this is something that we always recommend most of our students. And what our piece of advice here is that go for assurance.
Yeah.
We don't say that because, like we took assurance. See, my background was in assurance, but you have a live example sitting in front of you. Ravneet has all his background in tax. He has no experience in assurance whatsoever.
Yeah.
So when we were starting with our registration process, Ravneet obviously wanted to go for tax because we always have that tendency that if I have all my previous experience in tax, and if I'm able to even study or choose my elective as tax, it will give me more knowledge, and I will be more prepared prepared for, after the exam, even in my work environment.
Yeah.
But then it was only like in a matter of few days, Ravneet kind of did his research and talked around and looked for some resources available.
Yeah.
But he was not able to find tutors. He was not able to find any people or peers who were willing to write taxation, because you need some sort of study buddy, somebody to discuss your problems with. Right. So like these were the major issues that we faced at our time.
And then,
Also, if you see, like as a matter of fact, the other three options here are all numericals.
Right.
So, if you're smart enough to process that, just try to understand that assurance or audit is something that is logical.
Yeah.
If in the question they ask you how to audit, for example, bank, or how to audit, for example, like a PP&E or an asset.
Yeah.
You would, even if you don't have any experience in assurance, you would still be able to come up with something, like maybe two procedures, something about it.
Yeah.
But then trust us when we say this, that finance, PM, and taxation are areas where if a question comes that you have not studied for, you will not be able to attempt it, because these are all numerical based, formula based AOs and subjects. I just recently had somebody reach out to me. They wrote, they choose performance management as their elective last year, and they were not able to clear it because they did not attain depth in when they were attempting PM, in their elective. And now they themselves decided that they wanted to go for assurance without even me asking them or recommending them that, because they themselves realized that this was a shortcoming because they chose a numerical subject to go for.
And that's a very common perception from from anyone coming from other countries, because people tend to think that, okay, I am I am an internationally trained accountant, and if I go for finance, then I can do that NPV, IRR, like those sort of things much better. But believe us, like, first, the level of specialization required is at a different level, and second, again, you have less resources. And even when we tell you that, even when Guneet is mentioning here that the things are logical enough, to just go around. So if you have procedures on PP&E and things like that, so but we still prepare for you, but as if you are starting right from the scratch. So consider yourself as a student coming to us who does not know anything about assurance. Like, leave the experience. Experience is obviously an add-on, but leave experience. We actually start from the basics, and from there we take you off.
Because like when we were designing our notes, especially for assurance, we were aware of the fact that we had students in our batch who had no idea about assurance. So we basically started right from the definitions and then started building it up based on what all is tested in the exam. So ultimately it's your decision, but this is our two cents of advice on this.
Okay. So now, we'll just brief you a bit about how or what sort of challenges you will be facing in the CFE in the next 7-8 months, and if you face those challenges, how you can tackle that. So
the first thing that we walked about in the previous slides as well was time constraint. By the looks of it, because like when I was starting, I used to be like, okay, 4 hour, 5 hour, 4 hour, that's a long time, right? So if I'm being given a case that is this long, then obviously I will never feel time crunched. But it is only when you actually get into the preparation and you start writing cases, you will realize that you end up missing 3 to 4 questions if you don't go by the time minimum. At like this point, tomorrow is the first exam for CP September attempt. And even up until last week, we had students in the group discussing, reaching out to us that we're not able to manage time. We're still exceeding time. We're not able to finish the exam in time. So trust us when we say that even though these hours look long, it is an exam which requires you to have be on your calculative self all the time, because you have to continuously look at the watch and see how much time you're spending on what question. You have to move on to the next one. You have to plan in your head.
And like even until today, yesterday, like we have so many questions from students, like they are asking, okay, if instead of 4 pointers, if can I just write 3, will that help me pass? And why they are asking that? Because just writing that additional pointer in 5 different questions will help you save like 3-4 minutes, something like that. So that is the extent that you have to go to to save time. Like 5 hours is not just because of speed, it is because of speed as well, because it is a computerized exam and you need to get used to it.
We're not used to the computerized exams, most of us.
Yeah.
So that is another challenge that comes with it. But then this is something that, practicing well beforehand will obviously help you work on, and you can improve on it. But yeah, this is what we call strategy. Like, strategizing what you are doing, the basically the order in which you attempt all your AOs, that is exactly what is required in CFE. And we always keep telling this to everybody who talks to us or, like comes to us for advice, that CFE is a technical exam, but it is a balance. It is a technical plus strategy exam. If you go blindly, just like, going through technicals and just go for the exam, you will never pass it, because you need to have strategies in mind, that what you're going to prioritize, how much time you need for what, how you're going to keep your answers concise, things like that. There's so many things like that, right? But obviously, because like today it's just an introductory session, so we can't go in a lot of detail into it. But then if you all have, when you were filling the Google form, if you have opted in to join the WhatsApp group that we've created, and you join that in, you will see that see the type of questions that people in that group ask, and the way that we advise them. So yeah, it's a journey, but we just wanted to kind of highlight these things beforehand, just so you are prepared beforehand that this is something that will require your time and efforts going forward. Because to be honest, when we started with the preparation ourselves, we used to think that it's just like one final exam, and how much worse could it be? It will just be fine, we'll prepare it and we'll give it, we are CAs from our country, so everything would be fine. But then until you actually step into it and start working on it, you don't actually know what you're entering into. So just be prepared and plan accordingly.
Yeah. And then, going forward, so we did mention that, CFE is a 3-day exam. So when we say 3 days, so it's back to back 3 days. So that's day one, day two, day three. And, when you do not have any leave in between day one, day two, and day three, it is very pressing. So even, when we prepare you for the May attempt or the September attempt, we give you mock cases. So that is an environment where, this sort of like basically an exam sort of environment where you attempt day one first, day two first, and day three first, attempting 3 day 3s on the on the same day, and like back to back all the days. So that is the sort of environment we help you build, because when you are actually into the exam days, so at that time you feel very tensed. You should be knowing when you come after writing the day one exam, what are you revising, because you just have 5 to 6 hours. When you go to write day two and then come back, you again have like 6 hours. So what do you do in those 6 hours to help prepare better for day three? So this in itself, becomes a challenge with time once you go deeper into studies.
But then the other issue with these exams is also that they are continuous exams. So if you see 4 hour, 5 hour, 4 hour, these are continuous exams. You don't get any break in there. You don't get any water break, any restroom break. There's nothing. So like, like these are things that you have to plan ahead, that you have to kind of get used to the schedule of sitting in one go when you're writing that exam. And that is what we prepared you for. The final thing, but which is very important, is that because we all do CFE through an MOU, we only have 3 attempts to write the CFE. Now, this is something which works as a huge limitation for many students, because 3 attempts is less, right? If you, for example, sit on your first attempt and you only write day one, we've had students ask us this question, that I don't have that much time to prepare and I won't get leaves from my office. So can I just, in my first attempt, only write day one, clear it, and then in the second attempt, I can write day two and day three. See, we are fine with that approach. But then the thing with that is, even if you passed day one in your first attempt, you wasted that attempt for day two and day three. Now, when you write day two and day three in the second attempt, God forbid if you don't clear it in the second attempt, the third attempt is your last. If you end up not clearing that exam or day two or day three in the third attempt as well, then like there's no going back from there. You will kind of not be able to become a CPA then. If you want to, then you'll have to start from scratch basically. So that's the thing with going or writing CFE through an MOU, that you
Yeah.
only have 3 attempts. So plan all your attempts wisely. All right, so next we have some preparation related issues as well. And there's some common misconceptions in the market. So we just wanted to touch base upon them as well.
Yes. So, the first part was just getting to the CFE, but then when you actually go into the, in-depth preparation, so with time you will realize, so first part is the technicals, and then second is the case writing or case marking. You would have, heard that CFE is relatively difficult because you need to write cases, right? So how many cases you should be writing, so people don't know that. So even if you go to a marker, they will check 6 to 8 cases, but that is just for a review of your cases, and not that you just had to write those 8 cases, right? So there is a very specific balance, that how many day one cases you should be writing, how many day two cases, and how many day three cases. So you should abide the minimum and the maximum, or basically you should be falling in a range of cases for you to be sufficient in your practice. And then not following the CPA way of writing, basically what we mean here is that CPA has a very specific way or structure that they give you, not give you directly, but when you debrief or when you check the case responses, so you actually see that it's considered for financial accounting. There is a very specific structure, which is identifying the issue, then mentioning the gap or the ASPE or the local accounting standard, then the analysis as to how you integrate the gap with the actual facts of the case, and then recommendation or conclusion. So this is which we use an acronym here, which is IGAR: issue, gap, analysis, and recommendation. So for each financial reporting or financial accounting issue, you need to follow the IGAR. So if you are following, or I should say, if you're not following that, not following doesn't mean that they will not award you because you didn't follow the structure. But there is actually very a feedback guide or a specific marking key which is given to the marker, that did the student identify the issue, did he mention the right gap, did he analyze or integrate with the facts of the case. So this is basically in the reverse sense, that we have carved out the structure that you need to follow, so that you abide by what the marking guide is given by the institute. So this is what we mean by the CPA way of writing. So again, this comes under the strategy part. So even though you knew maybe the gap for a particular AO or a particular question, but you didn't follow the structures, then you will miss out on the marking.
All right. The next thing here is that students tend to spend a lot of time on technicals. This is something that we've had so many students end up doing. There are some tutors in the market, most of the tutors that like provide 150 to 200 hour lectures or like study material. Now you can imagine, if you are somebody who has a full-time job, which most of us have, we have families and we have like limited time. Most of the people won't even get leaves from their office for preparation for CFE.
Yeah.
Now, if you are somebody who fits into these boxes, obviously you do not have time on a daily basis to spend 3 hours attending a lecture only for technicals.
Yeah.
You can do the math here. If it is a 150-hour case and you are even if you're taking out 3 hour daily, that still means that you're giving almost 2 months, 2 to 2.5 to
Yeah.
3 months to your technicals only. And
Yeah.
this is also technicals that somebody is teaching you, and which means that effectively after all the 150 hours, you
Yeah.
still yourself have to go back to those technicals, revise them again, make some notes or whatever works better for you, and then eventually start with case writing. And let's be honest, nobody like from us has that much time nowadays to spend so much time on
Right.
technicals, which like half of which won't even be tested in the exam.
Right.
Right? So like this was the major bridge that we felt, based on which we decided to come up with our own notes and lectures or our own course,
Yeah.
wherein we decided and we tried our best to kind of limit like the hours that people have to spend in technicals eventually, because we should not like forget the fact that eventually in the exam it is the case writing that matters, not really the technicals. Obviously technicals is a part of it, but
Yeah.
it's not such a big part that students just spend
Yeah.
3-4 months only doing technicals. And you won't believe that people, this even after those 3 months they don't feel the confidence
Yeah.
on technicals. And we've had students come back to us after like 4 months of spending time
Yeah.
on through those courses, and then coming to us and saying that, we've completed the whole course and it was like such an expensive course.
Yeah.
But even after the whole course, we don't know what we studied, or we're not feeling confident enough when we write cases. Because when we see a case, we remember that okay, we read the standard, but because there was so much to study from, we can't remember what the
Yeah.
actual answer to that thing was.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is something that that troubles, or that has been a challenge for a lot of people that like we have met and come across.
Which is why it is not, important to just complete. So one is the completion. Surely you have to complete the technicals. But the second part is also revision. So whenever you consider your technical resource, which we will come to afterwards as well, you need to focus, okay, you will be able to complete in this much time. But then the second time that you do a revision, or the first time you do, you do that revision, how much time you will be taking, because you need to apportion the next 4 6 months accordingly, right? So which is why you need to have the right set of notes and videos so that you can revise as fast as possible.
The next thing is debriefing the cases. Now, what do we mean when we say debriefing? Now, this is more on the case writing part of it.
Yeah.
So when you write cases, how will you now see what you wrote was correct, or how can you improve what you wrote? So there's past year cases that CPA body has uploaded on their website, and along with all the cases, they also upload the board issued responses for those cases. So basically, whichever case you end up choosing in writing, you'll download that board issued response for that case, and you'll mark each of your like answer based on that. So what happened, that is what we call as debriefing.
Yeah.
Now, when you debrief your case, that is when actual learning happens,
Yeah.
because you will see that, oh, this is how the institute integrated this case fact in this response. This is how I made this mistake, but this is how the institute calculated this, for example. So that is what is called debriefing. Now, students think that, like Ravneet was saying, that if we write, this much cases, then we will be fine because we've practiced enough. But writing cases alone is not enough. You
Right.
have to debrief them, because if you're not debriefing them, you're merely just writing them on your own understanding and not taking any learnings from them.
And perhaps, now maybe a final point which we want to share in terms of the challenges is all of us are working professionals, have worked, in different countries as well. The problem which comes with, getting into jobs and professionalism and also into, big four accounting practices is that you basically, end up getting into a perfectionist attitude. And when you are into a perfectionist attitude, rather than, trying to finish up an assessment opportunity or a question within maybe say 15 minutes, you tend to spend more time just based on the phenomena that okay, I know this more, so let me do this in a better fashion. So maybe let me spend 10 extra minutes here, which again takes us to the first point where we started from, which is the time management. If you are rolling over your time to the next and next and next assessment opportunities or your question, so instead of the 13 questions that you will be getting, people are, when you will write your first A2, you will see that you are out, not you are writing not 13 assessment opportunities, but maybe just 8 and 9, because you try to answer the first assessment opportunities or the questions with more perfection. So with time, you will realize that you need to do away with this perfectionist attitude and try to attempt as much as you can, and even compromise a bit on the grammar as well. So in CFE, with time again, you will understand that grammar is something which is of relatively lesser importance. Of more importance is how you are structuring, because in the end, if you have 5 hours and you are spending time in
Beautiful.
writing
Your
your responses in a
response.
more grammatically fashion, like in the right fashion, and you're missing out on assessment opportunities, like that won't take you anywhere. So this is a bit about what we talked about the challenges, and I guess maybe we can explain you with a couple of examples what sort of strategies that you can adopt. Although while discussing the challenges, we did discuss how you can tackle that.
And the
And
best thing is that, like, if you now that you found us, we found you, and you're associated with us, the best thing is that like, we conduct these free coffee chats and these sort of sessions where we just, like,
yeah,
uh like, talk to you, understand what issues you are facing, how you can approach something better.
yeah,
So, like, all the questions that you've kind of heard, or the challenges that you've heard from us till now, these are something that will come to you with time, and then you will think that, oh yeah, this is something, that they were talking about a few months back. So
yeah,
you will all relate to it, but in your own time, right? So, but the good thing is that you're now associated with us, and then when that time comes for you, we will obviously be there to kind of guide you through it and how you
yeah.
can work through it better.
Yeah. So in terms of strategies that you will adopt, obviously it is a bit preliminary, as Guneet mentioned earlier, but we'll still go ahead just for you to have a quick glimpse. So strategizing scenarios when nausea should be used. So nausea is the CPA handbook. It is an open book exam, so you get to use the CPA handbook. But people are of the opinion, okay, I get the handbook, I don't need to memorize them. But
Yeah.
the problem is time. If you have 15 minutes for a case, you need to follow the IGAR structure, issue, gap, analysis, response. How much time you have to go into nausea, which is the CPA handbook, find the resource, and then copy paste. So it will take you easily 7 to 8 minutes just to do this.
Yeah. And
So,
even copy pasting is not the answer. After copy pasting, you
right,
have to do your own analysis on
right,
that copy pasted gap. Then you do a recommendation, then you do a financial impact. There's a lot of steps in there. So nausea might look like an easy resort, but that is
right.
not something that works for you on the day of the exam for all the questions. Obviously, you'll have to use it, and we tell you when you should use it, but
Yeah.
you cannot use it for all the questions in the exam.
And then again, like similarly, the IGAR structure is for financial reporting. Similarly, there is a RAP structure for procedures, which is basically risk assertion and procedure. So before writing, even heading into a procedure, you should be knowing what sort of risk is associated with it. What assertion are you actually, targeting your procedure on, and then writing the procedure. And procedure, when you are writing that also in a manner that you are addressing the why. So not just mentioning that verifying the bank statements. Why are you verifying the bank statements? The objective should be written in the same line, right? This is the structure or the whys that you need to address.
So basically, like, little pointers here and there that you
Yeah.
need to be careful of, but that you will learn with time when you actually get into it, get into the preparation journey.
Uh, Yeah. And then if you see, we have written here, avoiding the perfectionist attitude, which I think we have touched upon a bit, but maybe, with the help of very small example, consider that you are calculating cost per unit and you're given six elements. So say Guneet, consider she's a perfectionist. So she tried to address all the six pointers and was writing in as much detail as she knew, but in the given time frame, 15 minutes, she didn't write the conclusion. She just calculated the cost per unit, and that was it. For me, I consider I'm not a perfectionist. I try to follow the structure. So I started with the purpose. What is my purpose of calculating the cost per unit? Then started the cost per unit, and then knowing that, okay, I just have 15 minutes. So I addressed just five pointers in as much reasonability as I could. So not going into as much detail, but still addressing how I am calculating it, and then writing the conclusion that the cost per unit is this. So in that case, we should go ahead and produce this product. So, it can so happen that the feedback guide would be in my favor because I addressed the structure and I also concluded. While Guneet's response, although that was more perfect in terms of the numbers, but again, like, she didn't follow the entire structure. So she followed the structure, but just partially. But again, like, this is the perfectionist attitude, that you want to go away with.
Yep. So, and then, like we said, that there's many strategies and many tips and tricks that, like, we continue to give you as and when we, like, you step deeper into this journey and you walk on this path, because like the first step generally is technicals. There would be so many questions that you would have when you are on that technical studying stage. Then eventually you move on to practicing case writing. So then more questions from the case writing will come to you. Then eventually you will decide that you want to get a couple of cases marked, because it's always good to have somebody to look into your case and tell you that, these are the mistakes that you're making. This is what you need to work on. This is something that if you continue doing, you will only get an RC, and this is what you have to do to get a C instead. So things like that. But then, it will all come step by step. So yeah, like we can continue going on the tips and tricks, but just keeping in mind the fact that most of you have not yet started with the preparation. So these things can be very detailed and overwhelming at the same time. So we don't want you to overburden you with too much information as of now.
So maybe, where we should be heading now is, we have discussed what challenges could be, what sort of tips and tricks you could use, so that is something you will face in the next 6, 8 months, right? So from here, now that you know a bit about CFE and you will research a bit about more, bit more on that at your end as well. So two things that you need to focus on is what technical material you should be using, and in terms of case writing, how many cases you write, how do you write the cases, how you debrief or basically check your cases against the responses, and do you also need to, take any external marking support? So not just writing on your own and debriefing on your own, which, is always subject to self-review threat. So, but also going to an external marker and getting some cases marked just to, get a vetting that whether are you, whether you are going in the right direction or not.
Yep, so these are the two most important components, technical material and case writing, and we will dive deeper into them now.
So, okay. So for the technicals material, right, there are like two main sources that we were discussing. So if you're going on your own, obviously you will have CPA study material. And then second part is the tutor-led courses. So when you're going for CPA study material, when we say CPA study mat, one is Nausea, which is basically the CPA handbook, that is basically raw IFRS standards, raw assurance standards that you get to, maybe refer to in the exams as well, and you can read through them. But those are very just raw standards. And then we talk about ebooks. So you also get access to CPA ebooks. So each ebook for one competency would be around 700 pages. So that's roughly like 3 to 4,000 pages that you will be going through. And in a couple of slides after, we will actually deep dive, how much time it takes and what is the cost involved. And then second are the tutor-led technical courses. And then post that we will go into case writing. Okay. So in terms of, how can we step in here? So there are two parts again, as we mentioned, one is technical, one is case marking support. At our end, what do we offer? So we offer the technical course for all 6 competencies. So you are covered for all the 6 competencies, whatever is being asked in the CFE from technical standpoint, which is on day 2 and day 3, you are 100% covered for that. And this is exactly all you need. You do not need to go to any other external resource. We will give you all the resources, and you do not need to refer to anything else from like external.
You don't even need to refer to the institute books. Like, this is a question we get. Like, if you're getting the course from us, like that is just one-stop solution. You don't have to go anywhere out in the market, no other videos, no other practice, like no other institute material, nothing else is needed. And for May 26th attempt, we are conducting live lectures, which will be starting in December 2025. So the best part about the lectures that we conduct is, and the notes that we've structured is, that our notes are in a question and answer format. Like we mentioned earlier, that these notes, obviously these will take some time, but these are not as long as 150 hour. We generally, like if you're following our notes in lectures, you would generally be able to complete your course in less than 40 hours, right? Technical course. This doesn't include like case writing and everything. This is just the technical course, that from our end you will be able to finish the technical course in less than 40 hours. And why is that? Is like, if I just like give you an example, it's not that we don't cover the syllabus or we don't cover the full syllabus in our notes. It's just that in our notes, what you will see is that we have paraphrased, like a question and answers. And it's not like
Right.
with most of the tutors, what we've seen is that what they do is that they directly give you the standard,
Yeah.
and they'll just like keep studying
Like
it and
reading it
keep,
through, right?
yeah,
So like rather than covering, consider an IFRS on intangible asset, like
Yeah.
rather than covering 10 pages for that, so we cover that in minimal pages, and even after covering that in minimal pages, we try to help you focus on what is required for the exams. Like
Exactly.
under IFRS and the intangible assets, on top of your mind, after you will go through our notes and videos, on top of your mind, you will know that there are just two questions in it. That is all you would need. You will have access to the other resources as well. So in no means are that we are cutting out on anything. So the notes, videos, everything is comprehensive in itself, and we are not cutting out on anything. But
But we've
again,
made it easy
yeah,
for you to remember, because if
remember,
you read
yeah,
it from the standard,
right,
for any statement, there will be two sentences. Now,
yeah,
obviously, no normal person can remember everything word by word,
right,
but with our notes, we've structured them in a way that you can actually remember all the
right,
technicals. And this is what has happened for the students who've taken our courses before.
right,
Like they were actually able to remember and memorize all the technicals because the notes were so short. They were able to do quick revisions
yeah,
multiple times before the exams,
yeah,
right? And when you remember technicals, like we used to have this question from our students that do we even need to refer nausea?
yeah,
Like, you can like even judge by the confidence that those students have, that they remember all the technicals and they come to us asking that should we even refer to nausea,
yeah,
or just write everything by our
yeah.
own, all the gap by our own.
In an
That's the
yeah,
level of
like in
confidence
a
that
in
we
a
have.
market environment where people are or students are even struggling to just complete the technicals, like our students, especially in the last attempt, like just talking about the recent attempt, were able to complete technicals, revise it two times, and even on the day of the, like 2 days before the exam, we like received messages like that, we were like, I was able to complete the entire technicals in 7 hours, 6 hours. Like consider revising everything in under 6 7 hours. So like that is something, and you need that confidence, which is why we were, when we were discussing earlier, when you what is the source of technical material you should be choosing. You should be choosing what you can complete, but also what you can revise, right? And our course, as you can see, like is very exam oriented. We cover 90-95% as syllabi, and is best suited for working professionals who have limited time, because like 40 hours is something you will be able to complete in a couple of weeks as well, if you are regular in doing that, and then directly jump onto cases.
Yeah, but the best part is that the technicals don't stop there. When you associate with us, the best part is that we take a step above technicals. Like we will start with you on this journey right from the beginning, but then we will walk with you along the path up until the end.
Right.
What I mean by that is that we have we have strategy videos. We do strategy sessions for each of day one, day two, day three separately, wherein we will cover a case, like an excerpt from a case.
Yeah.
We will start with you starting how you will read it, how you will make the outline of the case. Then we
Yeah.
will take a couple of questions and walk you through, this is how you identify the issue, this is the gap that will apply, this is how you will integrate the case fact, this is how you recommend, conclude, write. And even in our notes, we've made sure that we include the CPA way of writing.
Right.
For example, Ravneet covered the IGAR, the RAP for
Right.
audit procedures. So all those tips and tricks and strategies that you have to follow,
Yeah.
these are all a part of the notes that we build and we
Right.
circulate with you, or the sessions that we conduct to like give you confidence on what you are doing.
And the 40 hours that we mentioned, so this covers technicals plus these strategy sessions, which Guneet mentioned, like day one, day two, day three, like specifically focus on a particular day as to how you go into a case, and we go into live case walkthroughs. So we, screen share, tell you how and what do you read in a case, and go through everything with you together, and then how you make your response, and how you actually, after you have responded to that case, how you check or review your case against the board issued response. So that is about,
The technical.
technicals part of it.
The next thing is the case marking. We provide, like, we have a package for 7 cases. So we provide case marking for 1 day 1 and 2 day 2 cases and 4 day 3 cases. So
Right.
this is a 7 case package that we have. And why we kept it as 7 is very strategic, because
Right.
we wanted students to be able to practice enough cases on their own,
Yeah.
and then start with external marking with us,
Yeah.
right? Because it always makes more sense that you first practice and are able to able to reach 60-70% of preparation levels by your own practice,
Right.
self practice, self debriefing. And when you feel that you are ready enough to have somebody else now bridge that gap from 60, 70 to 100 for you, that is when we step in. Right. So we have a fixed schedule where you will write past year cases every week for us, and we'll mark those for you and get back to you.
In fact, by the time we will end the session today, we will actually show you a timeline, especially for May 26 students. As to today, we are standing in September. How do you spend your time from September to December? What do we do in December, Jan? What do we do in March and April? And then how you eventually, appear for your exam.
So, like, for anybody who gets the technical course with us, we recommend that you get the case marking support as well.
Right.
And the reason for that is that right now in September attempt, we had many students appearing, like, from our batch.
Yeah.
And the best thing with that, if you get both of those things together, is because we are able to personally track progress of each of the student.
Yeah.
Right? We when we see your cases, we know that, okay, this is what you're lacking in, and this is what you need to revise or maybe pay attention to,
Right.
or maybe work on. So it works very well because we are able to track your progress completely on a complete holistic level and provide you feedback accordingly.
Because on a week-on-week basis, obviously your first case that you submit on the first week will be relatively, weaker, and then you progress, and because we as markers are fixed for you, so you would know as to how you are tracking from week 1 to week 2. And if just in case we feel that your progress is not up to the mark, you are missing out on anything, you are missing out on the basics that we have already taught you in the strategy sessions or the technical sessions, then we check in with you. Then we discuss with you, what is going wrong. Are you not spending enough time, or you didn't attend those sessions? And do you want to take some time, just to evaluate yourself again, and then, joining back. So, that sort of thing. So, which is why we mentioned that, mentoring is a very important part of our course, which is what we do. So it is not just the technical that you see the technicals and you are done. So technicals is one thing, but then we take you towards case marking, and then during that entire case, the case marking, and in fact during your entire CFE journey, we are there with you to see your progress, where you are missing out on, and also if you have any questions, we are always there to address. Okay, so being very transparent here, and wanted to discuss what
are the options that you have for technical and case marking out there in the market.
Right. And how does our course, which we just discussed, compare to it? So as we were, as we already discussed about CPA Canada, so generally what you get is nausea and ebooks. Ebooks is like generally 700 pages per competency. You can also opt in for case marking. That is an option, which is what we call as capstone 2. So that is up to you if you want to opt for it. So the estimated cost for the study mat, because it is provided by CPA Canada, that is free of cost. But for case marking, it is around $1,500, which you again call as capstone 2.
And one thing here is that the study material from the institute, you get it when you register for your exam. So if you're wanting, or if you decide to study only by the study material, then you will not be able to start your preparation up until January or February when you register. Because they don't give you the material at student registration. They give you the material when you register for the exam. Right? So just keep that in mind.
And once you get those study material, which Guneet just mentioned, so generally speaking, so to complete this with your relatively busy life, personal life, office, it can easily take you around 4 to 5 months just for technicals. And again, like, revision is very, very difficult. Like,
unless you make your own summary notes when you like, as in when you study, you're making your own notes to come back to.
Because consider that you started in Jan, Feb, and March went just for your technicals, And then once you have started writing cases in April, oh, then you will write, oh, I forgot this, I forgot that, because what you did in Jan, it is very difficult to keep in the memory until April, like
Yeah.
not the entire thing. So you should have some summary notes. So if you're going on your own, want to do everything with the CPA Canada notes, consider and evaluate to get some, or in fact make your own study notes by the side if you are going that route. Obviously it is like 100% coverage, but it is like very very difficult to absorb. And yeah, so then talking about other CPA tutors, how do they compare to the ebook? So generally you will see around 300 pages per competency, like for each subject, plus videos and case marking. So generally the estimated cost for this entire bundle would be between 2,500 to 3,000 depending on different tutors. And for this kind of material to be covered, it is, we can generally say it will be like 2.5, 3 months just to complete the technicals. And again, like in this part also, revision is very difficult. As a part of the CFE journey, you will realize with time, maybe not today, but with time, you will realize on your own that revision is very, very important. Also to keep the technicals in mind, but also so that you can
Memorize them
yeah,
for the exam.
yeah, like you can memorize for the exam, and the confidence that will come out of you once you're done with 2 to 3 revisions, you will be like, technicals is something I'm not afraid of. It is just the case writing that I need to manage. And when we say case writing, it is obviously structures, etc., time management. So your focus has changed. Your focus is no longer on technicals. You are no longer wondering, oh, okay, I'm still struggling on technicals. So technicals should be out of your way. So which is why revision becomes very, very important. But in this case, revision will be difficult. And again, I think this is something we have discussed. So talking about our course.
Talking about us, we've already been through it, so we'll just like quickly skim through that. We have summary notes. Our notes are in summarized form, question and answer format, but also in simple language with keywords still there, right? So that you're able to memorize and hit just the spot when you write the answers yourself in the exam.
Yeah.
We offer recorded sessions as well. So for those of you who will, enroll for May 26th with us,
Yeah.
although we mentioned that we will be doing live sessions in December, if you're not able to attend any session, or even if you do attend all the sessions, we make it a point that we provide the link to recordings to all our students, because we understand the fact that since our lectures are relatively not that much in length, in content, people generally prefer to revise through the lectures themselves also. So we make sure that you have access to those lectures up until you clear your attempt, right? So that's there. The cost that we have for the sessions plus the case marking is somewhere around $1,500. But then that being said, if you get this course, you will only need 2 to 3 weeks to get through technicals, and that is it. After that, just one revision, and you can directly dwell into case writing, start case writing, focus on your case writing, which is the end objective of this exam.
Like, adding on to what Guneet mentioned. So one is technicals. You complete the technicals. So like technicals, consider that as a bridge to case writing. So you need to cross the bridge. People are on the bridge for very long, like are dwelling on technicals for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, just under the mindset, okay, let me just finish up the technicals, let me become a specialist in the technicals, and then I will start case writing. Because otherwise, how can I write cases if I do not know the technicals? This is and like was a big problem, and we have tried to solve it to the best extent, that if you get onto this with us today, consider so in 3 weeks, even lesser than that, you will be in a position to write cases, right? So that bridge you are able to cross fast. And if you are enrolling well before time, which is today, like for May attempt, the best part is you complete the technicals today, then you have the opportunity to revise also like the same technicals a couple of times, so that you have better hold on the subject.
But then the few bonuses that you get when you register with us is the strategy sessions that we told you about, that we will conduct for each of the days separately. Every session where we will do case simulations in actual live case walkthroughs, right? And we cover CPA way of writing as well, like all the structures. You don't have to find that when you debrief cases. You will get that when you get our course. Another thing which is pro bono is that we have a platform of dedicated CFE writers that you can join. It's our WhatsApp group, and no beating the bush in there. You just directly, there's only CFE related discussions going on in there. If you have any questions, other students respond to your queries. We respond to queries whenever somebody has. People reach out to us via DMs, all the time whenever they have any questions. If they don't feel comfortable posting in the group, or they want suggestions directly from us, they just directly message us. But you get access to that community where you can ask your questions, maybe make study buddies, decide amongst yourselves what works better for you. But then along with that, we also do like bi-weekly or monthly coffee chats. Now, even if you don't get our course, this is something that is just like an effort to give back to the community. This is something that we do like for everybody. It's free for everybody and anybody to join in. People just come in, ask whatever questions they have about preparation, about strategy, about time management, about any sort of issue that they face. And we just like happily help them to whatever extent we are able to. So yeah, that's more about the comparison chart that we wanted to talk about.
Okay. So, just closing the part so we are done with the technical part of things, how you should be addressing or going about your technical study material options, talking about a bit about case writing. How many cases are enough? This slide is something you can refer to later on as well, and you can, check on with us if you have any questions. So, but for you to know today, how many cases should be enough, like 2 to 3 day one cases, 5 to 8 day two cases. So that's a good range, and 12 to 18 day 3 cases. Again, that's the range, minimum maximum. So if you are falling around this range, I think you should be okay. Again, never focus on the quantity of the cases that you are writing. Focus on the quality. And when we say quality, not that spend 6 hours on a 4 hour case, but you follow the right structure, like complete the case, whatever you have in the given time frame, but you debrief well. So you spend maybe more than 4 hours, like 4 hours writing, and then maybe 6 hours just debriefing that case, sitting on that case, comparing with the board issued response from the CPA body, and seeing for yourself what could you have improved on, how have they structured the response, did I follow the right structure, did I conclude or not. Which is why, if you do not know the right structure, which is why we always suggest external marking or external support. Consider you have a group of colleagues who are writing CFE. You can check the cases amongst yourself, take each other's opinions, because it is difficult for one to be critical of themselves. So just circulate your cases amongst your friend group. Or even for like personalized or more specialized feedback, you should consider an external tutor, as we also discussed. So in the price point that we mentioned, we do the case marking as well, besides the technical sessions and strategic sessions. So if you want to get marked it from us, so you can do that as well. And again, I think the benefits of getting cases externally marked is basically, you get a specified schedule, like for the students who have already registered with us or for May 26 attempt. So we are about to roll out to them a specific schedule as to when their cases will get marked, when is the time that they write their own cases, when should be the time for the revision. We will also go through a timeline in the end, just for you to know better.
For this starting this attempt, we've come up with a strategy that we want to kind of provide a timeline, like a planner for the students, for the students who enroll with us with the batch. That month by month or week by week, starting January, like what will their preparation look like, in which week they should write what sort of case, how many cases, just so that like they're fully covered, right? And we can put our experience and our expertise into that, which ends up helping them, because sometimes it can happen that people normally despise writing day two cases,
Yeah.
and then they end up writing only 2 or 3 day two cases, which is not enough, right? So like we felt that this was needed from our end, that we build a planner for our students,
Yeah.
for them to follow and understand that
Yeah.
this is the minimum that is required for them to do, and in what sequence.
And like once we give out that planner to you, sometimes it can so happen, right? Like students, especially who are into their tax season, as we mentioned, there are students who are into their tax season, have very good accounting practices, but are still wanting that CPA designation. So like those guys will be busy in March and April. So once we give out that planner, it is up to them, right, to decide how they can work around their schedule. If that schedule doesn't work with them, then they get back to us, and then we can discuss more, more options, or maybe what better options can work for them. So that is the sort of help that we can give you. So this is the I think perhaps
The last couple
penultimate
of
slide.
Yeah, the last couple of slides, so bear with us.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah.
So for May 26th attempt, this is the timeline that we were mentioning. For us, let's maybe start off for a student who has to start his registration process. So September is your registration process. You consider you start with your registration process here. In 3 months, you complete that. So that is until November for you, right? Just wait and watch, see when the CPA body responds. Uh, and then in December and Jan, you start off with our live technical sessions, which will cover all the 6 competencies, everything that you need. You do not need to refer to anything else, plus live strategy session. So when we say live strategy session, we mean, strategy sessions on day 1, day 2, day 3. So all of this in under 40 hours across 2 months. So in December and Jan, we will break out the sessions, and then
Probably over weekends, so
yeah.
that it works for everybody. But like we said, even if you're not able to join in, you will get access to the recordings later on to watch as per your own convenience.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will break out these lectures so that during the week students get time to revise what they studied over the weekend as well. So we are planning to do it like that for this month.
So that will be December and Jan for you. In Feb, we will give you a specific schedule that what day 1, day 2, day 3 cases you need to write. Those will be just self practice cases. Whatever we will teach in the strategy sessions, how you read a case, how you write a case, how you debrief, that is what you implement in Feb on your own with, obviously you can take our assistance if you have any questions, but this is on your own practice because we want you to swim. We want you to, see what sort of challenges you will face.
Yeah.
And then come March and April, this will be the crucial time again, because whatever you practiced in Feb, that was something which was evaluated just by you on your own. But in March and April, how it happens is every weekend you need to submit one case to us, and we mark it for you, and give you the response back in like 3 to 4 days time, so that by the time you write the next case, by the next weekend you can incorporate our comments. So that is how March and April goes for you, because it is just one case every week. So it is not that you will be writing just our case. We will give you a schedule when you are writing our case, and then when can you practice your own cases. So we will give you that schedule so that you are able to abide by this, to these numbers, that you are writing enough cases, and with some good effectiveness. And then come the last month, which is May. So May will be revision and practice for you. So you do not need to go into more cases, like getting into many cases, but just basically revising all the technical material you did, what all cases you wrote. Try to see uh, where were your improvement areas in the cases that you have already wrote, and have you covered that gap now, and then perhaps writing a couple of more cases just to have that flow.
Yeah, probably like one case every week, just so that you stay in that flow of, like the flow that you've built in the past 3 months of abiding by the timelines,
Yeah.
right? Your writing speed, your thinking practice, things like that.
Yeah.
So we just don't want you to run out of practice in the last month.
Right.
So some sort of self-practice in the last month will also be there.
And then you write your CFE in June. So the date for CPA WSB is out, which is June 2. In Ontario should follow the same date. So that is your June 2. And now, just considering this period, September, October, November, because in December, Jan, we start with the live sessions. How, or if you want to make the use of this time as well, September, October, and November, like the next 3 months, so we can give you access to the pre-recorded sessions, which were the sessions for the last attempt. You can, we can give access for those to you if you want to accelerate your preparation. What will be comprised in that is basically technical sessions for all the 6 competencies. So how it will work for you then is you basically get the access to that, watch at your own pace whenever you want to, and then you join us back again in December and Jan. So then for the students who are opting for going this way, so these live technical sessions and strategy sessions will sort of act as a revision for you, and you can basically make the best use of this time also and then come revise with us again. So this is again for no extra cost, but you can just get access to those sessions.
Because like why we recommend you to do this is because if you are anyway going to start your practice or your studies in December, why not, if you're getting access to lectures right now at the same cost, why not do that? Be ahead of the game. And we already have so many students who've enrolled right now with
Yeah,
us and who've gotten access to those recorded lectures,
right.
just so that they can set up their own pace right now.
Yeah,
Because right now you don't have any pressure, you don't have any like deadlines in terms of the CFE that you
right,
have to like do this under pressure and finish technicals in 3 weeks. So take your time, build those little habits, watch those lectures at your own pace, maybe revise them if you get the time, or if
right,
you have any questions, reach out to us. So, like this is something that we would recommend that you do, that when the time for the live lectures come, you feel like you've already been through the whole syllabus once and you have that sense
right,
of achievement and confidence, right?
right,
And if you're somebody who has like tax returns, or that like the tax season coming in March, April, then
right.
this is something that you should definitely do, because we have so many students who've come up to us
Yeah,
requesting the lectures because of this, that they wanted to have an edge right now, because they know already that the March and April period
will
for
be
them
busy.
would be a little crunched.
Yeah,
So they won't be able to give their 100% at that time.
yeah.
So yeah, again, our 2 cents of advice there, but ultimately your decision.
And in this timeline, if you see, in this period, until like just before Jan, you are done with technicals once.
Yeah.
If you are opting for this route, you will be done with technicals once, or because you do not, you are not busy in anything else, like we haven't given anything more to you, you perhaps could complete the technicals twice here itself, because that is the extent of, like the freedom that we give you there, because in between 30 to 40 hours is something you will be able to cover once and then revise in maybe 10 hours. And then once come, December and Jan, that is your third time. And this last month will be your fourth time. And in between, in any of the situations or specific cases, if you feel okay, I need to revise intangibles, I need to revise pp&e, you can just go in, spend that 15 minutes, and you're done. So our notes are in a fashion that you do not need to make your own notes at all. This will act as your final binder. You do not need to do anything else after you get these.
All right, so probably the last
Last slide.
slide for today, but the most important
Yeah.
like topic nowadays and the rumors going on, like what are the changes that are expected in CFE in 2027?
And like even before we go there, why this concern has been there. So like the CPA Canada body has mentioned that there will be significant changes to the CFE program in 2027, ideally May 2027. They are already in process of doing all the changes. And how, what, or in fact, what are they doing there is they are actually changing the competency map. So when we say the competency map, they are actually extending the review of your knowledge, not just on the traditional 6 subjects that we mentioned, like the 6 competencies. They are wanting to go beyond that. They are wanting to test your ethical decision making. Your AI is the new thing in the market. They're wanting to test that part as well. Data analytics. So all of the upcoming things which has been there in the last 5-10 years, and there has not been a major change to the CFE program for a while. They are wanting to take those subjects into consideration as well. How that program will play out, it is not decided yet. It is all in the air. And one of the concerns or major concerns, especially for internationally trained accountants, is also that the MOU with different bodies, with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Pakistan, and also Nigeria, and like other bodies, right? So whether that will sustain or not after those changes. So these sort of concerns are all in the air. No one knows at this time, which is why it is, very, very important. So to get yourself give yourself a chance for May 26th and September 26th attempt, so that you can at least appear for that exam, go and go well prepared. Although the thing which is getting said in the market currently is that if you get registered in 2026, you will be able to appear for the future attempts, could be in 27, 28, like
In the
that
old
time.
program itself.
Yeah, in the old program, but that is not definite at this point. What is definite is May 26th and September 26th is not changing. So that is your best chance at this point until we have more details there.
So if you're somebody who's still kind of waiting and sitting on it, but wants to get the CPA designation, we would say that right now is a good time to get done with it before things start to change, and nobody can say if it's going to get any bit easier or difficult, right? It can be either ways. So why not just get done with it right now if you have the chance?
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that being said, that was the end of the presentation from our end. We
If you,
can
yeah, and if you want to get in touch, that's our website and that's our email ID and contact. So if you want to get in touch with us, feel free to do that. And perhaps we can open the floor for the people who are there on the call. If anyone has any questions, we did try to be as descriptive as possible to avoid any to's and fro's. But still, if you guys have any questions, go ahead, please.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the slides. They were very useful. So I am not a CA back from another country. I'm doing my CPA here.
Right.
So I'm a CPA PEP student.
Okay.
So I'm doing my last elective. I'm in tax right now, but I'm struggling a bit. Like in tax, there's too much information. So
Yeah.
like I read it, but then when I am doing the questions, sometimes I'm not able to integrate it very well.
Right.
And but I'm trying my best. So I'm writing my CFE in May 2026,
Right.
and I'll be doing my capstone 1 and 2 starting January. So if
Right.
I take the course with you guys, will I be able to do like capstone 1, capstone 2, and the course all together?
So we do not cover capstone one. So, but we
Yeah,
starting the CFE part of it, which is capstone two cases, and
yeah.
then getting you prepared for different competencies. So that is our part of thing. But so because we are focused towards the assurance elective students, so we do not teach tax as an elective specifically.
Yeah, but we will be able to help you with the other subjects though, but
Yes.
not just with the tax
Just
as
the
an
tax.
elective.
Yeah, because we actually want to, give you the best knowledge that we both have, which is,
Fortunately,
sure.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
assurance for
yeah.
us
Yeah,
because like we
tax won't be my elective on my
Oh,
CFE. It would still
oh,
be
okay.
assurance, but in
Oh,
CPA
okay.
PEP, yeah, in CPA PEP, how it works is we have to take two electives.
Right. Yo,
okay,
yeah. Oh,
right.
right.
Okay, so you
Okay,
took
so assurance, I'm done. Like I'm
Right.
done with
Oh,
assurance.
okay.
I'm
Actually,
doing
yeah, we
taxation.
thought that you're mentioning tax as an elective in the CFE program.
CFE day two. Yeah, yeah. No, no. For day two, I'll still be taking assurance because assurance is way easier than tax.
Yes. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally, 100%.
So if that's the
yeah.
So
case, then that is
we can
definitely
help.
something that
We can help you out.
will
Yeah.
work for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I had a buddy in my
Okay.
FR and I was able to do it very well, but then she didn't continue. I think she's somewhere behind or I don't know.
Oh,
So
okay.
and then I was not able to find any other buddy after that. So
Okay.
Right.
I felt like if I have someone to do along, then it's way
Yeah.
easier and then you're on the track as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure thing, Alicia. We can help you on this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, hi, this is Navpreet. So I have two questions. First is I'm an Indian chartered accountant and I've already appeared for day one, but I didn't give day two and day three
Right.
in May 2024.
Okay.
So I didn't clear that day one. So I was like, because because I started in January 2024 and I was having very little time to appear for all the three exams. So I just decided that I'll be just focusing on day one and just clearing on that. And in next attempt, I'll be doing both of them. So
Okay.
Right.
what happened, I didn't pass. So, and in this year, I was not actually, to be very honest, I was not at all having confidence that I can give all three exam in one go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my question is that can I, like without appearing for capstone 2, is it like what is your suggestions on that capstone 2? Shall I
So
appear for that, or it's because it's exempted, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I just wanted to
So
know, shall I
yeah.
spend that much
Mhm.
money on that, or it's not required?
Yeah, so see on the capstone too, in the slide that we were discussing, generally like the estimated cost is $1,500, right?
Yeah.
So in our like we can tell you about our course. So our course is sort of in line with what capstone 2 does. So what they are actually giving you in capstone 2 is they're actually reviewing your past year cases
Mm-hmm.
and
Like they give you
Yeah.
past year cases to write, and then they just like mark them for you.
mark them.
And we are doing the same thing in our package. When we say case marking, we are doing the same thing. The number of cases can be different,
Yeah.
but then the thing with Capstone 2 is like I was working with Deloitte when I did my CPA. So I did get Capstone 2 with, like when I was preparing for it, I got it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't feel like it was that useful, if I'm being honest. And the reason that I would say is that the feedback that I would get on my cases was very generalized.
Right.
Like they would just like give me 1 2 sentence feedback that you could do this better, and
Right.
those were very holistic comments, and it felt like every time somebody new was marking my case. So with that, the only problem is that if a dedicated person is marking your cases,
Yeah.
they can see your progress getting better,
Yeah.
or if there's a continuous thing that you're not doing properly. This happened with us, like in the September 2025 attempt students. Like one of
Yeah.
those students, when we saw their cases after 2 3 cases, we felt like we had been giving the same feedback, but then we didn't see it being incorporated. So we directly reached out to them asking that, are you not able to give time, are you not debriefing well? Like something we felt was missing. And that was the day. And since then, that girl, like, she improved like
Tremendously.
multifold.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like it matters when somebody comes to you and they highlight that this is something that you're not working on, so why are you not working on
Yeah.
it?
And
So
in fact, there is a
things like
very
that.
and there is a very general tendency when you get the feedback guide from the marker and you see, okay, what have I scored? C, R, C, R, C, R, C, and you're like, okay, I can ignore this, and then you move on to your next case, and then you move on to your next case. But then when we as markers are reviewing just one student consecutively on different weeks, we know how the progress is going. Although the student may not be reviewing their own case in as much detail, but we are reviewing their cases, and which is why we reached out to that specific student. So that is a kind of an example. So we give the students very personalized feedback. And coming back to your question, in terms of capstone 2, so they are like checking or reviewing last year cases similar to what we are also doing, but ours is a very personalized one, and we give you specific tips and tricks how you can save time also. If you attempted just 8 assessment opportunities on a day 2, we do not just mark 8 assessment opportunities and then just close it off. We go one step further and see where you actually could have potentially spent some extra time, and then guide you that, okay, you cannot, this cannot go on, that you just attempt 8 assessment opportunities out of 13. You could have saved time here, you could have saved time there, things like that.
Okay. And another thing is that like you mentioned that 800 fees for registration because I paid 1100. So it's like you're talking about the
I think that could be Navpreet, maybe inclusive of taxes, and there may have been a $50 $70 change, so that could be it. But the one part is the registration fees, and the second part is your CFE exam cost.
yeah, exactly. So I paid 1100 for the registration this year. So
Oh, okay. And was it
not
CPA Ontario?
okay. I'm in Saskatchewan. So
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So yeah, so this actually, slide is more for like the numbers are from CPA Ontario, and everyone has a bit up and down.
So it could be that.
Could be that.
Oh, that's nice that Ontario is charging less. Oh, that's nice. And another thing is that what about your like your session? You mentioned that your coffee sessions and all. When
Yeah.
you will be giving that? Like,
So coffee chat sessions is something we conduct on a bi-weekly, monthly basis. Those are
okay,
open sessions, open roundtable. Whosoever is in the in our WhatsApp group, we just drop a
okay,
Zoom link. You can join and ask your questions. We generally have like 20, 30 students all the time in that. And
But yeah, but like we generally just like post 2 days before that we are planning to
yeah,
conduct a session on Monday or
yeah,
Tuesday, and then we just provide the Zoom link so anybody can join in. It's an open link.
yeah,
okay, okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I just have one more question.
yeah, sure.
So for me, it's compulsory to do capstone 1 and 2. So the capstone 2 cases that CPA provides, are they the same cases that you are going to provide? Because I don't know if I'll be able to write like both the cases at the same time, right? Because it will be too much then. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if they are the same cases, or do you guys provide different cases?
So we can provide you different cases. We are still to finalize our schedule, and we need to see what CPA bodies are doing. So maybe
Okay.
you and me can can keep in touch and
Yeah.
discuss on that.
Yeah. Like I was just worried like if it's too much, like if I
Yeah,
have deadlines there.
Yeah,
yeah, it will
agree.
be too
Yeah.
much if you do,
Yeah.
both, and then we have the same cases. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
No worries.
Hi, I do have one doubt.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, I registered under your plan and get some classes from you earlier this year. But now this year I haven't given any attempt, and I am thinking
Right.
of registering it for December and Jan,
Okay.
so that I can give my attempt in May. So
Right.
what's the process and how I can do it? Can you please help me with it?
So do you already have
Yeah.
our
They have.
course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you will have
Yeah.
access to it. You can just like message me,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I will, if you don't have access right now, I can just add you back again.
Okay, and I will be accessible for the live classes also in
Yes.
December and Jan?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that will be great.
You
But
And
yeah, just text me so that I can, like keep you in my list.
okay, okay, sure, I will, I will. And are there any different notes or the notes are same as you have provided earlier?
So on that, Gurkripal, we are actually revamping the notes a bit, and we will give you an option if you want to get the physical copy of the notes because we are revamping it. So we will keep in touch with you. So we are yet to finalize everything there. Things are still in progress, but you will get a different set of notes.
Yeah. Like we are working on the logistics for that, so that for students who are like starting May 26, we are able to kind of ship the notes directly to your addresses, like for everybody on the
By
call.
October.
Yeah, by October we are planning to finalize and like have the notes sent over, just so everybody has physical binders that you can refer or make your markings, highlights, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the plan. So Gurkipal, we can like you can get in touch with me after the call and we can speak more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, sure. Thank you so much. Thank
No
you.
problem.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you very much. Perhaps no further questions. So thank you very much for joining in and keeping with us the entire session.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, all of you. It was nice meeting you, and hopefully we'd stay in touch.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you
No
very much.
problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.